Hey guys, welcome to the Big Blue United podcast. My name is TJ. I'm here with Dan and Colin. Guys, what's going on tonight? Feeling fresh off another victory, I'm sure.
Buonasera.
Fresh. Yeah, we're just riding it. We're riding the magic carpet right now. That is whatever the hell is going on.
Yeah, I think it's a good feeling, but this is almost exactly the kind of game we thought it was going to be. So we're not, I'm shocked that we're 2-0. I think it was safe to say, but also this is exactly how I imagined it to look.
Yeah,
Still trying to implement cool things, but just can't do it really at all.
Getting scrappy, and I love it. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I can't believe there's just been so many times, I feel like in the past few years, that these are always games the Giants lose.
Yeah.
So even if there's only 2 of them so far and they're close, there's been a lot of close games. So it makes me happy that we're on the other side of, I mean, it's not a convincing win, but it's a win nonetheless, and I'll take it.
Yeah. It's like a pure coaching win.
Yeah.
It's just like the coaches won this.
100%.
And last week too.
What was bizarre, my dad and I switched places in terms of our usual demeanor. He was Mr. Negativity, and I was not Mr. Positivity, but like telling him to stop being so negative because, first off, it was so hot. It was miserable. It was like, I guess it was about 86 degrees.
Well, wait.
Like
You
were wearing a scarf.
You were at the game. We should mention you were at the game before you to put some context into what you're talking about right now.
Yes, and I was fully covered head to toe because I didn't want to get sunburned. So I was wearing a hat. I was wearing a bandana around my neck. I had Under Armour long sleeves. Why is that funny? I just...
It's funny to me.
You're just a man that gets easily sunburned. What are you gonna do? You gotta.
And
do
you know what? I'd rather do that than have to slather myself in sunscreen because I hate that feeling.
You should get one of those things that middle-aged women wear to the beach. Just one of those like flowy,
No, get the big
sarong.
Urban sombrero.
Sombrero, a sarong, and maybe a muumuu.
Yeah,
I like getting sunscreen over me because I usually end up using like the baby sunscreen because I can never find the one for adults, and it doesn't rub in your skin, and you're all like wet and oily for like all day. It's great.
Hate it.
I like to be lubed up.
They have like this they have like powder like brush sunscreen that we use for like the baby. You can try that. It's like putting on like I don't know concealer.
Does it work?
I think so. I don't know. They put it on. They trust it on babies.
Works for babies, probably not for you.
I'm a baby.
Yeah, you might be. Hey guys, as usual, please follow Big Blue United on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Follow us on Twitter at BBU Podboys with a Z. Don't forget to send Dan an email to bigblueunitedpodcast@gmail.com. Again, if you send us an email with one letter in the body of the email, you can be on the podcast and own it. That offer's still on the table this week.
Just give me some time to get back. There's a lot I have to get through.
Yep. Yeah. It's going to be an effort, but we're gonna get there. Yeah. Follow our podcast network, the Pigskin Podcast Network, at the Pigskin Podnet on Twitter. Don't forget to download DraftKings app. Use promo code TPPN. A lot of good deals out there for DraftKings. I'm sure people are making a lot of money right now. I saw some interesting parlays on Instagram. Guys betting $7 on like the most wild 20-leg things. Almost winning $1 million. Pretty wild.
I love the same game parlays, especially for like nights like Monday and Thursday night when you're like, I don't care about these teams, but this will spice it up a bit. Let's throw a same game parlay in there. I put on one for tonight. Got Jalen Hurts over 250 yards, Kirk Cousins over 325 yards, Devonta Smith over 80, and Adam Thielen over 80. You turn $5 into $300. That spices it up.
Those are some good picks, I think.
It could happen.
Kirk Cousins
plausible.
is underrated. Again, don't forget to use promo code TPPN when you download that DraftKings app. Check out Raycon.com if you guys need some headphones. Use promo code TPPN15 for 15% off. And our sponsor this week is, once again, Neft Vodka. Unfortunately, I don't have the bottle because drank it all. I know the last few times that Neft has been our sponsor, I've been taking shots of it, and messing up the rest of the podcast. So hopefully I'll be a little more on point today. But we are big fans of Neft Vodka. Great product. Support the Bitcoin economy for Dan, further Dan's career in the cryptocurrency worlds. I don't know what else to say about Neft that we haven't said already, other than you should buy it and it's delicious. Well mixed in a cocktail. You can drink it straight on the rocks, whatever you want. Colin, tell me something about Neft Vodka that we don't know.
That you don't know.
Or that we should know again.
Well, I mean, I usually more times than not, especially beer, when it comes to drinks of any sort, I'm all about the presentation. I know we've talked about it already, but I can't get enough about the barrel aspect of things. I think the presentation of that is one of the more unique that I've ever seen, and it makes me want to have more of it just by looking at it.
When I'm bartending at the bar and we have the bottle back there, it's always people are always asking me about
what's that? What is that right there? I want to know what that is.
Yeah. And then I give it to them and they're like, is it good? I'm like, let's drink it. And then, we drink it. Well, we used to. I'm taking a break from the vodka. I haven't had vodka in like 2 months. It's a bit much. Yeah. Anyway, before we jump into the game, should just mention Jalen Smith was re-signed. What do you guys make of this? Anything interesting here? I mean, I'm glad he's back. He had some moments last year. He started 4 games for us, came up from the practice squad, was pretty impactful when he was a Cowboy. I mean, they cut Blake, add some more veteran depth to the team, especially after the poor performance Tate Crowder put on this weekend.
I hope we don't have veteran death.
Veteran death?
I think, linebackers are one of the thinner of the many of the thin positions that we have. So I can't think it would hurt very much.
Yeah, we don't have good linebackers at all. So if they can get him back to where close to what he used to be, that's a plus. And there's really no downside. We can just cut him if he's awful or injured.
I feel like the Giants had good linebackers and then didn't, and then had Antonio Pierce and then didn't have good linebackers. And then we got Blake Martinez for 1 good year and then back to where we were.
Hey, cut to Chase Blackburn.
Excuse me. For a team that was, known for linebacker cores in the 80s and 90s, you'd think there'd be some thought here.
Going to a 4-3 for a long time kind of downplayed the need for very good linebackers, especially in the modern game where you can kind of get by with some guys that have somewhat good cover skills, which we still didn't manage to do ever. But that's usually how the rest of the league does it.
I think we should just make linebackers all safeties now. Like safeties are like coming in at like 240 pounds.
So Landon Collins should come back, you mean?
Yeah, we should need like 3 Landon Collins and call it a day.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, those off-ball linebackers are harder to find in the modern NFL. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see a lot more of that like linebacker hybrid kind of safety thing going on, which, I mean, we basically saw Wink do a lot of that this week even with the 3 safety sets, bringing McKinney and Love to the line a lot. Love specifically had a great game, but we'll get to him eventually.
We can talk about the defense first.
We talk about the defense first.
Yeah.
We never
no
do.
rules, baby.
Why do we never talk about the defense first?
I don't know.
I guess because I just had them second in my note.
Yeah, when you're in a 2-0 team, you can make the rules up as you go, baby.
That's right. We can just do whatever we want. But defense, who I thought, had a good game, kept the Panthers to 16 points. I think a lot of it was scheming. A lot of it was Wink Martindale, again, going into this game without Kayvon and Aziz, your top 2 pass rushers. Aaron Robinson was also gone, albeit he hadn't been playing great this year, but the depth behind him isn't anything special, as we saw with Cordell Flott, getting pulled in the second half after that DJ Moore touchdown. But yeah, I really think that the Giants defense played well, kept the, Panthers to 2 with 12 on third down, 1 touchdown. Wink really, schemed them well. I thought they were coming into this game, facing adversity with the injuries, but really put on a great performance, and it was all coaching, like Colin said before. So, talk to me about the defense, guys. What'd you like, Colin?
We mentioned a little before we jumped on, and I've been waiting to debut this new nickname, but I think it's possible we might have the island of Dr. Moreau out there opposite Adoree Jackson. So I thought he did a fine job coming in. My dad and I were talking about it. We couldn't figure it out. Is he an old Ravens guy? Is he a Wink guy from the past? Because it seemed like that would be a. I had no idea where he came from.
1 sec.
We're looking it up, Ryan.
Yeah,
he was Washington, and last year was on the Atlanta. He was drafted in 2017.
He's just watching him. It struck me as a Ravens guy for some reason. But
they picked him up off the Texans practice squad.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
UCLA 3rd round pick, 2017.
I was into it. I thought he was very well prepared. Obviously, he must have been getting a lot of reps in practice leading up to it. Obviously, they had a couple of days to prepare for it because the Robinson appendectomy That was that Monday or Tuesday he had that. So.
Doctor said I need an appendectomy.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the 4th rated player PFF on the defense, so
great.
That's saying something.
Yeah, I think he'll probably get some playing time this week too. Obviously, I mean, Flott has got a lot to learn. I thought
give Flott a break. I mean, he played all right
for
a little bit, and then once they started picking on him, he had some trouble. But he's a rookie. Again, that cornerback's a hard position to learn in the NFL. Maybe the second hardest position after QB. So
he'll be fine. I think he'll learn as the season goes on, and maybe he's one of those guys that can use a couple of pounds of muscle put on between now and next year. So I look forward to seeing him in the future more than anything.
For sure.
But
as a fitness celebrity, Colin, maybe you can send him some, nutritional guides or workout guides. I know you've been on some podcasts talking about health and wellness. So
yeah. Oh yeah.
See if you can send him a care package.
Oh, maybe. Maybe we'll get him on the show and we can talk about it.
Yeah, send him some oils. We'll hook him up.
Do you have any crystals for Flott?
Only magic cards.
Ooh, more valuable anyway.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Unfortunately, Blake Martinez gave up all of his Pokemon, and now he's going to Magic after he got cut by the team. So,
taking a turn for the more sinister of the role-playing card games.
Yeah, he's down. He's down.
Yeah.
Deep now.
Yeah. One of the things I want to say about the defense was that
I don't know what we're talking about.
Health and wellness.
There.
Yes. I think it's cool, and not only because the defense is thin personnel-wise, but exhibited across the offense and defense, this coaching staff is shown a willingness to play rookies all the time and let them fail and hopefully learn from those failures. And it was great to see Dane Belton come in and have an impact right away. I think he made the first tackle of the game on that, or did he pick up the fumble? On that
covered the fumble. Carter Coughlin forced it. Yeah,
he recovered that fumble, and then I just remember seeing him the first time the Panthers had the ball that he was just flying around. He was coming in, jumping on the pile, just trying to get involved. And that's what you got to do with a team like this. You're really playing with nothing but upside. Get everyone involved. Get people flying to the ball. I think Wink has got these guys pretty fired up.
Yeah,
allowing them to play to their strengths and just have fun out there. So it's been really fun to see. The defense is definitely the highlight of this game and probably last game and probably all the games in the foreseeable future till we get a new quarterback. But it was still amazing. They shut down arguably the best running back in the league. Christian McCaffrey only rushing for 100 yards essentially,
and a boring 100 at that.
A boring 100 yards. They never got outside. He broke a couple up the middle.
He had that one big run that accounted for most of his yards. They definitely let one good one out, but
he had a 49-yarder. Right, that's right.
Yeah.
And taking that out, right, he's about 50 yards on the day, which is pretty incredible for a guy that could easily put up 200 multi-purpose yards on you.
100%.
And that's got to be the plan, right? We have two similar teams coming in with the Titans and Carolina, and they sort of probably refined that game plan a bit. And Baker had 145 yards passing. Not that Baker's any all-star, but he could definitely put up more than that. Just a solid performance and getting, I think, the most out of the personnel grouping. So it's really encouraging.
Yeah, I have to agree, man. And I'll go back to just talking about Love because I think, and another thing I want to talk about Love because of what you mentioned of Wink, putting people in the right spot. And I think Julian Love really shines when he's down in the box. He had a really great game, especially, it basically closed out the game for the Giants, right? On that 3rd and 5 last drive that the Panthers had. Nice sack. Giants got the ball, ended the game. We won. So, 7 tackles, 2 for a loss, QB hit. He looked great playing down there. And I just love kind of the whole scheming that Wink was doing with Belton up high and 2 of those safeties down the box, especially when you have Christian McCaffrey. I think that's why you kept him, in check like they did. Really cool. Another thing I'll mention, I love, watching Zimenez again, had a good game. Yeah. 2 tackles, pass defense, sack, QB hit. That's first sack since 2018, which is a wild stat for a guy who's starting. He's been on this team for 4 years now? I don't know I'm so curious, there's just a fire just awoke in him that I love. And I love Daboll was just like, I don't care about what he was doing last year. I only care about what he's doing this year.
Well,
this year he's playing, which is nice.
What was an interesting point that John Schmelk made on WFAN on the ride home? We were listening. He was talking to some of the coaching staff and actually some of the other players besides Zimenez about him. And it seemed that under Joe Judge, and which is so typical and what we could already figure, as soon as he would make one mistake, he was put in the doghouse for the next couple of weeks. He was inactive. He was a healthy scratch. He was all of this. The difference now is...
That's not how you get better, Colin?
No. But the difference now is it's just like, okay, you're allowed to make a mistake. Learn from it now. You show that you don't learn from it, then you'll be taking a couple of plays off. And he's learning from it and given a second chance and able to develop. It's incredible what competency can do for a player.
That's a great point. That's a great point. We feel like, although all those drafts were bad, we certainly never got a full picture of who any of those players were.
Exactly.
So you have to give them. They were coaching and drafting for all those years like we were a game out away from the Super Bowl, when in reality we were so far away. We should have been experimenting and letting guys fail.
Yeah.
And, it's just insane. It's just insane. It's been such a pleasure this season, regardless of the wins, just to see a team with a plan and like doing the things you want them to see, whether that's, going for it on fourth down or, letting the young guys play. It's so much less frustrating. It's incredible.
I think you mentioned it before, Dan. It did seem like these teams were mirror images of each other coming into the game. And if we really think about it, it's right there. I mean, between the two quarterbacks and then the two running backs and the rest of the team, it was like they were staring each other in the face through the mirror, and they played like it. It was back and forth there for a while, but I think Dable and Wink are just a little bit smarter than the two main coaches or three main coaches on the Panthers side of the things. And I don't know. It makes me feel good about the fact that there was a moment where at least I thought having Matt Rule as our coach could have been cool, but I don't know if that's the case any longer.
You don't know who the offensive coordinator of the Panthers is?
I'm not going to say his name.
Yeah, Matt Rule, I think, is a bad head coach, and bad haircut boy is none of our favorites.
I saw a picture of him, and
Ben McAdoo is who we're talking about. I know.
Yeah. He looks ridiculous now. I hadn't seen him in a couple of years, and he's like, I don't know what's going on over there, but he sucks. So it's all good.
Yeah. He's probably a better offensive coordinator than Joe Judge is and whatever he's doing in New England right now. But that's neither here nor there.
No.
Any other highlights from this defense?
Well, the low lights. Highlight. The positive of a low light is it seems that Leonard Williams isn't as injured as we thought he was. So his knee is apparently okay.
Oh, I thought he was getting an MRI today.
At least from the first uneducated look at it.
You running the film, you were able to assess the situation.
Yeah. What?
Nothing.
Good job.
Who's muted?
TJ.
No, I'm fine.
Muted.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, my mic came unplugged. It's good to go. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I don't know why we stopped.
Unprofessional.
Terrible.
Well, he cut it out.
We did mention that you were at the game, but then we never really asked you like the most important question, because we were all hearing that it was the crowd was electric in there.
Well,
what was the feeling? What was the vibe like, man?
Eli was there.
You two. What did it sound like on the TV? Did they allow the natural sound to come through?
Yeah.
In a way that it was noticeable to you guys?
It sounded
I didn't
like they were
notice
buzzing.
anything. I didn't notice anything different. I didn't notice anything different.
There were moments where my dad and I were looking at each other, just like, what's different about this? I can't figure it out. And then like I realized, well, first off, this is what really did it. Literally, the music in the stadium was louder than I've heard it in years, and it was because it needed to be louder than the crowd. Because we were leaving. We weren't leaving. Going back to the Sun death aspect of things. There was about 5 minutes to go in the game, and we walked up to the top to get out of the sun, and we were watching on one of the many big screens on the way out, and it was just like blaring. It was just like it was never louder in that stadium before, which was interesting, and it kind of I don't know, maybe people showed up actually excited, and I kind of forgot how that was. So it's nice.
That is exciting. Well,
to me, I noticed it.
Wagon Wheel?
Yeah. What music were they playing?
People
they blasted Wagon Wheel.
There was 3 different Van Halen songs played, which I was very happy about. That was towards the end of the game too.
What was it? Just like Panama and Jump and
Running with the Devil.
Yeah.
Running the gamut. It was great.
I'd have liked a little Unchained. That would have been good.
That was what was missing. I was looking for that, but what can you do?
But you know what else I noticed? I noticed the energized crowd. It seemed to be louder, especially in the early in the game. But then it also seemed to be audible when Daniel Jones attempted anything. Towards the later part of the second quarter and into the third quarter, just sort of holding the ball, missing open
too loud
receivers. No, just like audible groans. Just
Yes, that was a definite. I think there was a moment in the middle of the game, especially, where it was just like everyone was looking around, like, "Yep, here we go. We're going backwards again. We're free falling, and here this is how we're going to do it." And somehow, I mean, it's the coaching staff. We can say it time and time again, but that's really what's doing it there. What did I say? I mentioned it was like they were squeezing blood out of a stone.
Yeah,
that's how that game felt like.
It's like if someone is wide open and Daniel Jones happens to be staring directly at him, he might make that pass. Otherwise,
thank you for saying that. And I'm not going to defend him, but I will say that I noticed, and you don't always see this on TV because you don't have all the camera shots, but I was going out of my way, especially in the plays where he would take off to run. I've never seen less people open. I've never seen less people open for him since he's been on this team.
Oh, I was gonna say the opposite.
Well, no, he missed. He definitely missed a few, but
absolutely. Yeah. But it was very obvious that there was not a lot of separation. A lot of the game.
Yeah, David Sills isn't known for his separating abilities.
Well, yeah, when you're,
but some of the other guys kind of are, and they weren't doing it. So it was like, all right, interesting.
Richie James and Sills are your top 2 receivers.
Rick James.
Let's talk about Jones before we talk about the wide receivers. I think the wide receivers will be a fun conversation.
Yeah.
But Jones, 23 of 34, 167 yards and a touchdown. I mean, wow. It's just like, this is kind of what Jones is becoming to me. Is he's proving to me that he can be a good game manager and can kind of make you decent plays here and there. Because we did see him make 2 3rd and 10 conversions to Richie James. He did another 3rd and 10, 24-yard pass to Sills. So there are moments he's coming out and moving the chains and being effective on this offense. But really, otherwise, it's just not much of anything to watch from him. No. There's he's not proved any reason to be re-signed. I don't think he's done anything to get him to be sat or anything like that. But I mean, he's not going to win you a Super Bowl unless you have an incredibly good defense and your offensive line is incredibly good, which our offensive line is still, a lot of work. I mean, needs a lot of work rather. That being said, I'll give Jones a little more credit than I normally will, because I think the line was really bad again. So I think he did the best he could with, kind of what he was given. But again, really good quarterbacks, elite quarterbacks are going to look better than 167 yards. The guy's got to throw over 200 yards. It's wild. I was just a little upset with the Giants offense in general, just because, you look at what Saquon was doing last week, and then in the first half, they give him 5 carries. I mean, I don't know what was really going on there, but, they managed to pull it out, which I'm happy with. But the offense just altogether just needs a lot of work. What are you guys feeling about, Jones, really, offense? We'll touch on Saquon in a minute.
I think go ahead, Dan.
I think,
Dan.
Daniel Jones is, at best, like, his ceiling is Eli in, like, his last year, where unless everything is perfect and everything is set up exactly as it's supposed to be, like, he's not going to get anything for you. He might scramble here or there, but the designed runs aren't really happening. It's maybe he's good for a 4-yard scamper early in the game, but week 1 he threw for 188 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. He had a high QB rating.
Give him credit that he didn't turn the ball over too, which is always a big one
this
for
week.
Jones. I forgot to mention this week. Yeah.
Right. But I mean, he didn't break 200 yards passing. Anyway, I just think that at this point, it's one thing if we're seeing incremental improvements. Maybe they'll come later in the season. I have a feeling they will to a certain degree with this coaching staff and more comfortability with the scheme. But I don't think you're going to see dramatic improvement in his, individual abilities. His awareness just seems to be super lacking. Everything's a beat too late. There are so many times where it's clear that players are open and he's just zeroed in on the guy he decides he's going to throw to, usually Saquon, before the play even starts. Still throwing in front of the chains on third downs and second downs. Granted, the offensive line has seen better days. I still think a player with more ability would create more and find ways to get the offense moving. It was a very poor offensive showing, very stagnant showing. The longest passing play was It was a 24-yard pass to David Sills. The other one was taken away by holding that pass to Kadarius Toney, and then everything else was 15, 16 yards max. It's just not going to cut it. We're playing teams that have sort of weaker offenses in the Panthers and Titans. If a team's able to put up over 24 points, I would be hard pressed to see us scoring more than that. Given unless a breakout from Kadarius Toney or the resurrection of Kenny Golladay, just not encouraging performance from Daniel Jones, and he can't elevate the supporting cast around him. That's certainly clear.
Well, if Tiki Barber has anything to say about it, because he said something today that was very interesting. His literal quote, and I don't know what the context was. He says, "There's a chance Lamar Jackson is a Giant next season." I don't know where he gets that from.
What? There's zero chance.
Yeah, I want to know the context there. I just saw the quote. And I'm like, all right, what's going on there, Tiki? Is that something?
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Yeah.
Yes. The smartest front office in the NFL is going to let go of the most valuable player in the NFL.
They'll pay him. Well, I guess they are having some contract difficulty, but I mean, at the end of the day, they're going to pay him what they're going to pay him. Yeah.
I think that's, I have to read into it because I'm curious to see like what conversation led up to that point, but I think it was contract talk. It must have been. Had to have been.
Yeah. I mean, it was just kind of sad. I want to go back to, when Jones took 3 sacks, 2 out of the 3 sacks, there was a wide open receiver. I remember on the second field goal drive, Shepard was literally standing in the end zone with nobody around him. And Jones just never goes off his first read unless it's a check down, it would seem. Mm-hmm. And then, another thing I want to mention is just about the offense as a whole. Like, you get the ball twice with great field position right in the beginning of the game with those special teams and defensive turnovers. And then you end up with 6 points. I mean, think about if you come out of that situation with 10 points or with 14 points, that's what you want, obviously. But, if your defense is going to come out and play like this and your offense is bad, you need to score points there. You need to score a touchdown, at least on one of those drives, because you do that and the whole tempo of the game has changed. And you're not playing from behind at any point. Not that I think they were, but still, it was close nonetheless. So they really need to get something figured out on offense. And I thought they did last week with Saquon, and then they just didn't give him the ball, which I was so confused about.
That seemed to be like a game plan kind
21
of thing.
Well, he had problem was that he had 5 carries for 3 yards in the first half. The Giants had 0 rushing yards in the first half. See, Saquon ended with 21 for 72 with the 3.4 yard average, 3 receptions for 16 yards. I understand that it was cool that they kept to the run and Saquon was running hard and wearing that in the defense, and that's kind of where his yards came from at the end. But you don't have to do that in the second half. You can start that in the first half. After week 1, there was nothing happening on offense. You don't have Kadarius Toney doing anything. You don't have Kenny Golladay doing anything. Wan'Dale Robinson is not playing, so your top 3 receivers are pretty much a wash at this point. Give the ball to Saquon every time. Throw it to him every time. I mean, I don't see why not.
Well, I think that's the problem.
Your whole offense.
I think that's the problem, though, is that when your 3 best wide receivers are Richie James, David Sills, and Sterling Shepard, you don't have to pay that much attention to them, especially when you have an unaware quarterback like Daniel Jones. You can just focus on the one playmaker on the field, which is Saquon, and shut him down. And there's probably nothing there in the run game, obviously evidenced by like the rushing yards. But like if you look at a game like
5 carries in the first half, that's all I'm saying.
He probably checked out of it because they were overloading the box.
Yeah.
The thing is you don't have to account for anyone outside. If you look at the Dolphins with that amazing win they had over the Ravens, they have Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill on the outside. And whether or not they're passing them, those guys are stretching the secondary every play, wearing them down, and they have to be accounted for at all times, which opens everything up. Well, they did pass to them this week, but I'm saying like it's also like a strategy that's used quite often in college football where they put 4 wide receivers out there and just try to exhaust the defense. And if you could just ignore your wide receivers because you're putting out guys that like should be, fourth stringers as your starters, you can focus on the one guy that's an actual threat in Saquon. And, it's just they feed off each other, certainly. And I think, maybe they could have done something different with Saquon, but he's just a running back. And that's the thing. A running back can't overcome the rest of the deficiencies in the team if it includes the offensive line.
Well, I was just about to say, I think there was a regression in the offensive line. Anything that they were able to do last week, they couldn't do this week. So then it was just like, oh, crap. Let's just make this the Gano show whenever we can. And they did. So the New York Field Goal Giants, as you were saying.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Andrew Thomas had a good day.
He did.
We can't run outside of the left. I mean, okay, I know I'm not a coach or anything, but if your best player on your team is only going to touch the ball like 24 times, I said last week I want to see him touch the ball 30 times.
Yeah,
that would make me happy, and I think it's feasible.
He had what? He had four targets passing and 21 carries. That's 25. I think they should be targeting him more, considering the
I mean, how many screens? I wonder how many screens they ran.
Not many, and he wasn't even split out very much. And when he wasn't looked at, which was just like, what the hell's the point of that then?
I mean, look, you have Gary Brightwell averaging 14 yards a carry. You can't have him come in and I mean, he only had 1 carry for 14 yards, but you can't have him come in and then split Saquon out wide. Like, I don't.
What a stat!
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things also with the offense is they're really hamstrung by their personnel in the fact that they don't feel comfortable putting Kadarius Toney on the field, and Wan'Dale is not playing. And part of it was that multiple thing, right? You have Toney and Wan'Dale and Saquon on the field all the time. Any one of them could be in the backfield at any play. Anyone could be split out wide. There's all sorts of variables there and things to be accounted for, and you can't do any of that creative stuff when again David Sills and Richie James are your starting wideouts.
Hey, at least Daniel Bellinger got his first TD. That was a big deal.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just happy the Giants scored 1 whole touchdown, which is better than a lot of games that we've had.
Yep.
But Graham Gano is, I was just kind of hoping that Graham Gano wasn't going to be the MVP on this team again. At least in terms of the people scoring points.
Oh, he had a funny quote on the radio show afterwards. Someone said, it's always good to win, win a game from a field goal like you did when you were on the Panthers against the Giants. And he's just like, I don't remember that. Like deadpan. And it was like,
they mentioned that on the broadcast.
Good man.
But what do you got? I mean, the offensive line just, again, Colin, you're right. Total regression, I think. I think you think that Bredesen is probably going to be starting at left guard moving forward because he did outplay Azudu a lot, and I think you saw that 56 to 17 snaps. He looked a lot better. PFF had him rated number 7 on the offensive line. I will mention that PFF, the bottom 5 people on offense, 4 out of 5 of them were the other linemen that played in this game. So that's obviously not a good one. Daniel Jones being the 5th player.
We need Shane Lemieux back.
Yeah, Shane Lemieux and Nick Gates beat him back bad. I mean, 103 rush yards this week after 250 last week. I think that it was a big regression. I thought that last week kind of like saying a lot of nice things about the rushing offense at least and saying that the pass protection needed work. I think this week we see that everything needs work. Brian Burns was a one-man wrecking crew in there, and he shouldn't really be that way, even though he is, a very good player. He's not really a Pro Bowl guy.
I mean,
it was a rough outing for them. It was
Frankie Louvu shouldn't have been the one-man wrecking.
Yeah.
That guy was everywhere.
I
4 tackles for a loss.
Yeah. I saw something very strange on Reddit where, well, not strange. It's just it's typical. And I've never really seen this before. Andrew Thomas was graded well again, of course, and he's apparently a very far ahead of a lot of left tackles in the league, which is just bizarre considering the rest of the line is so bad. But they mentioned how somehow it was able to be rated that Daniel Jones was the reason why some of the offensive line sucked, because he was doing the wrong thing given how bad they were. So even when they were bad, he was doing the wrong thing to counter the bad, so making it worse, which is not a surprise.
I mean, he holds the ball for too long,
well,
so it doesn't give your line any help. So
probably going the wrong way, like looking at the wrong first read, or going to the first read and not going to the second.
His pocket presence is awful. Have you seen him climb up in the pocket ever?
No.
The guys are washing. Neil had a number of times where he's pass blocking, washing guys upfield, and Daniel Jones would either stay still or go back.
Yeah.
Rather than step up and move up and then give him the threat of the run, which is, the thing that he's most famous for at this point. Or throw it when someone obviously comes up to challenge that run and then have a wide open pass. Yeah. He's just not evolving. Yeah. Like he hasn't evolved since year one. Is there noticeably an improvement in the player he was 4 years ago?
No.
I'd be hard pressed to. And you can make all the excuses you want, but still, like, basic stuff hasn't moved.
And he's probably slower
in the brain.
Well,
after
in the legs
the sacks
as well.
It's getting beat up. Yeah. Let's move to wide out. Let's talk about Kenny Golladay first of all, who played 2 whole snaps.
Who?
Exactly. There was a big ado today on social media about him clearing out his locker and being available for the media. Of course, clearing out his locker in the MetLife Stadium means nothing because all the players keep their stuff in the Quest Diagnostic Center. So every single player's locker is cleaned out. Julian Love made it a point to tweet out that his locker was also empty and he had left at the same time that Kenny Golladay did. So he also wasn't available for media. Another one, too, is that Daboll had a 30-minute press conference right after the game. Kenny Golladay left 20 minutes after the game was over. So he was available for the media, just none of them were there. That being said, he only played 2 snaps.
And he was on the play for the touchdown, surprisingly.
Oh, we're not getting there. So in my mind, and I think this kind of goes to a lot of stuff that we've been talking about today, in that Shane and Daboll are playing whoever they think is going to give them the best spot to win, because they are not tied to anybody on this team. They inherited the entire roster, essentially, at least, most of the marquee players, because they didn't really sign anybody big in free agency. So they're not tied down to any of these people. They can play whoever they want to play to give them the best spot to win. And if Kenny Golladay is not that player, then he's not going to play. If Kadarius Toney is not that player, then he's not going to play either. So it makes me feel really good, to be rooting for a team that kind of has this philosophy where we're going to let the young guys play. We're going to let the young guys develop. We know this isn't our year. Let's just give everyone an opportunity who deserves it, and whoever gives us the best spot to win should play.
Yes.
It's devoid of the hubris that haunted us for the past 4 years of justifying 100%. Your crappy draft picks by playing guys out of position or in ways that they shouldn't be played. It's Daboll and Shane are going to know exactly who their team is by the end of the season. Everyone's going to be evaluated. They're going to know who's here for the long haul, who they can flip, who they should cut. And I think as good and refreshing as we feel now, next year it's going to be even more so with a team that's truly going to be in the mix to compete for, it's crazy because the NFC East is breaking in such a weird way that, we might have a chance at a playoff spot if we eke out 6 wins.
In first place right now, baby.
I know.
Well, until later.
The Eagles are clearly a better team.
Yeah.
But, I think you'd have a legitimate argument that through drafting and team building next year, we have an actual, football team that isn't going to, that is going to beat the Panthers team like this by, 35-16.
Yeah.
I think they're just doing the right things and have things in the right perspective rather than trying to force square pegs in a round hole.
And I don't even mind winning a couple of more games than we should, because it would affect a bad draft or a good draft pick. I don't give a crap about that. Shane will figure something out.
Yeah. That's an amazing feeling. That's so freeing.
Yeah. It really is.
If you manage to, win more games than we should, you probably still need a quarterback. You might mortgage a little bit of your future
future
to
stuff,
get somebody. I mean, we saw the Rams, but the Rams don't have a first round pick for 20 years, I think. They won a Super Bowl because of it. So, I mean, you don't have to get crazy like that, but I think if you really believe in somebody at the top of the draft at the quarterback position, then you're going to pull that trigger and get him no matter kind of what it takes.
Yeah.
Arch Manning is going to force his way to the Giants. And
that would be amazing.
That would be so great.
Did you see that Texas put out $280,000 to spend on his visit to recruit him?
Yeah. Wait, they have a parade and stuff?
I don't know, man, but that's a lot of tax.
In related news, did you know?
That's why they're sending buses of. Oh, never mind. Can't talk about this. But maybe if they kept that $300,000 in tax money now, instead of trying to recruit Arch Manning, they might have a little better luck doing other stuff.
Do you guys know that Harvard is no longer the richest school in the country?
What is?
University of Texas.
Really?
Their endowment has superseded Harvard. So
that's insane.
They're definitely one of those states where the highest paid public employee is a football coach for sure.
That's every state except for New York.
Oh yeah, not New York. I don't know who it is in New York. But it is a lot. It is a lot of states, which is that's scary.
Yeah. I saw this. I saw some clickbait thing on Instagram today. The upper range of astronaut annual pay is. It's $110,000.
That's it.
For an astronaut?
For an astronaut.
Seriously?
Civil service.
Oh yeah.
That's wild, man.
When they exit and go private, they're gonna make $500,000 a year, whatever they do. But while they're an astronaut,
you just got to get up to space once, and then you go
middle class astronauts.
Middle class astronauts. A good name for a band.
Sure is.
You just email Elon Musk. You're like, hey, I was in space. And they're like, here's your $1 million. Come to work.
Yeah.
All right. I think I'm satisfied talking about the game. Actually, I want to say one more thing about Darnay Holmes because, wow, Darnay Holmes is really good at covering, and he's the worst tackler I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
He's doing smart things.
But that's cool. That's cool.
Well,
I'll take it.
He's a ball of energy, and he just wants to get in the way, and he's small. So, I kind of get it. But, yeah, he can get better.
Yeah, he will. I'm happy with him so far.
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys game. I'm sorry, Dan. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, you need a nickel corner. You can't just have two outside corners anymore. Yeah. If he is serviceable as a dependable nickel, and
he is
fine. You have to have three cornerbacks that are good.
Strong, tough, dependable. Right?
Yeah,
that's what they say. Well, I guess it all depends.
Undergarments.
Step back in the line. All right, Cowboys game. Giants again are the favorite, 3 points. We're hosting them next week. Monday Night Football, the only primetime game we got. Dak's not playing, but oh boy, guys. Cooper Rush is a force. Cooper Rush threw for over 200 yards last week, which is not something we've seen.
Not ready for that.
What's with the Bengals this year? What's with the Bengals all of a sudden?
I saw a lot of great Joe Burrow memes.
Who day?
Yeah, Houday is right.
I just also note that the Giants are going to play a real quarterback until week 5 in London against the Packers,
which will be weird
because they have Cooper Rush and Justin Fields, who has the worst offensive line I've ever seen. But it's setting up again for a nice soft opening. This is basically preseason. The first 4 games are.
Justin Fields last night, he looked like 1,000-mile stare at some point when the camera was on.
What is that team doing to the poor guy? I
don't know.
God, he's not playing as good as I thought he would, but still, he's got absolutely nothing around him.
Yeah.
He's got to do everything.
What are the Giants doing to Daniel Jones?
I would love us to get Justin Fields. That'd be sick.
That would be sick, actually. I'd be into that.
Just straight up trade.
I will be going.
Kenny Galladay.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll be there Monday as well. So
you go on Monday?
Yeah.
Oh, so our annual Monday night live pod. Just me and Dan, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
Colin, we're gonna get you to call in from the game, though.
I will do
100%.
that. I will do that. I will 1,000% do that.
That could be fun for the YouTube video.
Yeah. Yeah.
On the YouTubes. Okay, joking aside, though, Dallas's defense ranked 6th overall, so they have a really good D. Going to be interesting to see what this offense does against, some of the better pass rushers and defenders that this team has. They got a great line. They're good on every level on defense. So the Giants basically, I see a very similar game to this last week's game. I think it's going to be a pretty much of a defensive struggle most of the time. And I think that, whoever kind of gets taken advantage of here and there, makes a mistake, will get beat. I hope it's Cowboys, man. It's our only primetime game. We're one of 4 undefeated teams left. Let's put out a showing, man. Let's show the world that the Giants are back in some way, shape, or form, or at least getting there.
Yeah.
For next week, two things. I'm afraid of Tony Pollard based on what Dontrell Hiller did. And I think if we want to win, we need to double Kadarius Toney's plays from this week. Get him in for 40, 50 plays.
Well,
get him the ball.
I
Get him
think he's like
a pass.
He's one of those guys that likes to play against the Cowboys, obviously. So
exactly.
Punches.
He likes to fight them.
Yeah, literally.
Just run and run and run and run and play action. I think that's really your only bet to kind of win this game or really take advantage on offense. But yeah, Dan, you got to get Tony the ball. And I think that, it's just been interesting because I don't think we've really seen him catch something that wasn't, behind the line of scrimmage or like 5 yards out tops.
Yeah.
I want to see him, run a deeper route and get the ball in space. I don't know what's going on with him. I actually talked to Steve the other day. I saw him outside. I was like, Steve, what's going on, man? Can you fix Kadarius? Is he going to be playing? He's like, no one can fix him. It's all up here.
I believe
is a scary thing to hear.
I absolutely believe it.
But look at the Steelers. What did Tomlin do with Antonio Brown for 7, 8, 9 years?
Well,
listen, I think he hit his head, man.
That one hit was like what really.
Vontae's perfect, man. Just ended his life.
He ended so many careers. That guy.
Yeah,
what a dirty player, man. He's a big POS. That guy.
He's like the modern day Bill Romanowski.
100%, man. And I think, is he still on the Raiders now? Or that was the last team he played for.
I don't think
know
he's
if he's still playing
anymore.
or not.
No, I think he's in jail.
Good riddance, man. He should be. It's like out there, Remember, he reminds me, Roy Williams, horse collar tackle, man. The dirty player. Screw that guy.
Yeah.
Those 2 big sleeves and the Cowboys just grabbing shoulder pads and
floppy
trying to end dudes' careers.
Yeah.
You know what he reminds me of?
I hate Roy Williams.
Yeah, me too.
Vontae's perfect reminds me of Charlie Murphy when he takes Rick James's head and just bashes it on the table. Came down on it.
Exactly.
Little side note. Eli was at the game. As TJ, as you both know, it was a little bit of an Oneonta reunion, which was cool. So Doc and other Nick were sitting within, I don't know, probably 20 feet of where Eli was sitting. And it was just like everybody was freaking out. It was one of those, he was sitting too low. He was in one of those lower mezzanines that were like really close. Like you could just stand up and like look into his box. I'm like, well, why is he sitting that far low? He should be up somewhere
wants to be
higher.
with the people, man.
I guess that must have been it. But that was good hanging out with some friends that we haven't seen in a while. So that was a nice change of pace as well.
I love friends.
Yeah.
All right. Let's wrap this up, guys. Who's winning this game?
We are not.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't like that from you because you've been right at least 1 week. What did you say last week? Loss?
I said we would wait.
I said win.
Yeah, we all said wins.
I think we all said wins. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I think it's one of those things where it will become freakish if we are 3-0, and I don't think we're on freakish level yet.
I think the Giants are going to come out and make a statement in primetime, win this game 21-17, and I'm all about it. 3-0, baby. Let's go.
I hope so.
Yeah. I'm gonna say we lose to Cooper Rush and a quarterback showdown.
Dallas does have the edge of quarterback, so you're all right there.
Insane. I say they beat us 24-17.
All right. And with that, guys, we'll take off for the evening. Please don't forget to follow Big Blue United on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Don't forget to follow us at BBU Pod Boys with a Z on Twitter. Pigskin Podcast Network at the Pigskin Podnet. Download the DraftKings app. Use promo code TPPN. Check out Buy Raycons raycon.com. Use promo code TPPN15. And don't forget to buy a bottle of Neft Vodka. Oh, man, that's a lot of sponsors. Look at us. Thanks again for listening, guys. Have a good night. Let's go Big Blue.
Bye.
Big Blue, Big Blue, Big Blue.
F the Cowboys, baby.